Hi everyone, how's it going? It's Benson Hedges here again from CADMEN Academy, and for this episode we're going to be talking about the hot towel shave. Now, I felt like this has almost been like a dying art in our industry, and with all the new innovative products, tools, we are losing the craft of shaving and the art of shaving. So we're going to bring that back to you today in this episode on hot towel shaves. Now, for those who haven't been doing so, this is a great experience for those who are visiting your barbershop, visiting your hair salon. A lot of people can shave at home. So the question you may ask is, why would somebody want to get it shaved at the barbershop or at the salon when they can do it themselves? And the answer to that is that we can provide an experience that they cannot provide at home, and this is a great time for them to relax. A lot of businessmen come in, a lot of people who are always on the go, and it's just nice that you have an experience that you can provide for your guests so that they don't have to do that at home and they get that experience away from home and a time for them to relax. The main reason why somebody would want a hot towel shave, aside from the experience, is that a hot towel shave with the razor blade actually helps to exfoliate the skin. It takes up to 8 layers of dead skin that you can take off the face, and this is great for keeping a nice clear skin. The techniques that we're going to show you is to help get a clean shave without causing irritation on your guests. And with those two combinations, you're always removing off dirt and dead skin without causing further irritation. And tune in and get ready on how we're going to explore those techniques. So before we get into the actual physical part of shaving, the most important part before the shave is actually the preparation of the skin. So we're going to go through a step-by-step on how I like to prepare my guests and my canvas before we start shaving. So stay tuned for that. So the first thing we're going to do, of course, is make sure that we have a headrest and lean them back at an angle that's very comfortable. So for our setup, we're going to be using 2 towels. The first towel, we're going to connect the corners to create a triangle, and the neck is going to fit right in between, and we're going to tuck it right into the shirt. The purpose of this towel is so that the shaving cream doesn't drip into their clothes. When we take off the shave, it would take off everything that was dripping down without it going onto their clothes and staining it with shaving cream. The second towel is going to lay over the chest. This is going to be the towel that we're going to use to take the hair off the blade that we've shaven off. And then the first thing that we're going to do to prep it is to actually add a shaving oil. This is the lubricant between the skin and the blade, and this is going to ensure that it's going to limit the irritation. So we have some pre-shave oil here, and we're just going to gently massage that into the skin. Now the massage is really good because it's going to help with the experience, but the most important part of why we want to do that is because this is our chance to feel out the growth direction of the hair. As we go through the shave, you're going to notice that I'm going to shave with the grain, against the grain, and diagonal with the grain. And in order to do that, you have to read the hair and see what direction it's going. So while we're putting in the shave oil, this is our chance to feel that directional growth, to see which direction we can go with the grain. For example, we can shave in a downward motion, but sometimes on the neck, the hair likes to grow back upwards. So we have to read that, because if we continue to shave in a downward motion right around the neck area, you'll be going against the grain, and that's going to be a very aggressive shave. So immediately after we put in the pre-shave oil with a nice facial massage, we can now apply our first layer and the first application of our shaving cream. Of course, I whipped up a nice foam, and now we're going to use this to get under all the hair and work it in a circular motion. Now we want to make sure that the oils that we put on is mixed in with the shaving cream that we're applying, and we're making sure that when we're applying the shaving cream, we're going against the grain so that it gets under the beard, especially if we have a big beard. If we have a big beard, we don't necessarily have to trim the beard first. Our techniques that we're going to be applying today works regardless if you have a big beard or a beard that's already trimmed. It actually doesn't really make a difference as long as we work on the same approach that I'm showing you guys today. Our next step is that we'll be using our hot towel. Now, when we open our hot towel, we want to make sure that the temperature is safe to the touch. So we're going to feel it in our hands first, and as it becomes more bearable, we're going to do the first fold of our towel that will go directly under the nose. We're going to use a towel to go through the contour of the chin and go over and over. Now the hot towel should sit for roughly around a minute. Each hot towel will be roughly around a minute's time. If you want to increase the experience, and depending on because how you charge depends on how much time you're going to spend on the shave. So if you wanted more time to do like a shoulder massage, for example, or add other services, then you might double up on the hot towel to give you guys more time under the hot towel. But for each hot towel, roughly under a minute is the perfect timing. You do want to take off the hot towel before it cools down. You want to take it off and start shaving while it's hot. So I already have my blade prepared. We have a new blade for each shave, of course. And we're going to take off the hot towel and start with shaving against the grain on the side of his face. The hot towel is great for softening the skin, opening up the pores. This is going to make it very smooth when we're gliding it. And if you guys have ever shaved on skin that's really cool or cold, it's very irritating and it's not a smooth glide at all. So the hot towel really helps with that. So just before when I'm ready to shave, I'm going to open up the hot towel and just keep the eyes covered with the hot towel. This gives them a good chance for them to take a nap. With the back of our blade, we're going to use it to just clear off some of that shaving cream so we can see where it's a good starting point. And now we're always going to stretch the skin, and you're going to notice that I'm either going to be using the heel of my blade or the toe of my blade. In this sense, in this case, I'm using the heel of my blade first. This is also the strongest part of the blade. And I'm going to stretch the skin right around the area where I'm shaving. You always want to stretch close to the blade. The farther that your stretch away is from the blade, the less tension you will have. I'm using a forehand technique. And in certain areas, you may use a backhand technique. The beautiful thing about the art of shaving is that with our techniques that we're showing you, it will be up to you to see what's more comfortable for you. You can do the whole shave with the forehand technique, you can do the whole shave with a backhand technique, or you can mix it up based on the positioning that makes you feel comfortable. What we cannot avoid is how we stretch the skin, how we prep the skin, and the execution of the blade and the angle of the blade. But how you hold the blade is different between everybody based on the size of their hands, their height, their angles. As the skin gets a little bit more dry, we can always add more shaving cream. As you can see so far, we have a nice clean area that we just shaved off. We want to keep the skin moist while we're shaving. To avoid irritation, I like to cut just a couple hairs at a time. I rarely use the full blade. If you notice, I'm always using the toe or the heel for the sole purpose that I'm going in cutting just a couple hairs at a time. It may look like I'm cutting a lot, but every stroke, if you notice, I'm doing mini strokes. I'm not doing full strokes. I'm doing a little bit at a time so that I'm just cutting a couple hairs and then resetting that glide. So if you notice, I like to come where there's no hair and then slowly glide into where there's hair. If you start right in the middle where there's hair, there's going to be a lot of pull and a lot of irritation. This gives you a more gentle approach into the shave. Chin up, please. All the way up. Yep, stretch, stretch, stretch. Yeah, turn this way. Perfect. Now I'll be using a backhand technique, going underneath. That is because the hair changed direction and I'm trying to read the hair so I can continue to shave with the grain first. As I get to the right side of his face, I'm going to switch my positioning. And now, for the first time, you're going to see me use a backhand technique. And now I'm able to contour the face a little bit easier with the back of my hand versus the front of my hand. Now, areas of the chin is going to be a lot thicker than other areas of his face, usually. So the thicker the hair is, the smaller amount of hair you want to take at one time. Anytime you remove a lot of hair at once, you're going to create irritation. So just because I'm using a forehand technique at this specific area doesn't mean that you may have to, depending on which side you're standing on or which side is comfortable for you, you will select the technique that fits well for you. Okay, what I like to do sometimes if shaving is really difficult for you, I ask for help from my guests. So could you please put your tongue in your mouth under your lip here? Exactly, put your tongue here, perfect. So that's gonna give you a nice even space over here. That's gonna be nice and flat, and it's gonna help you create more tension on the skin, and that way I can shave very comfortably right over it. Without the stretch, the skin will be very loose over there. So look how easy it was for me to shave that area with that stretch. Okay, as we get to the right side of his face, I'm just going to turn him around so you guys can see how I come about it on this side. Okay, we're going to restart the process on his right side of his face. Of course, I'm going to stretch the skin again. Start where there's no hair. And use small strokes, either at the toe or the heel, again based on your positioning. So now you can see how well the prep was, because if you feel the hair coming off effortlessly, that is due to the prep and keeping the skin soft, the stretch. These are pretty much the main fundamentals of doing a shave without irritation. The stretch, the angle of the blade, and how much hair you're taking off at one time. As we zoom in over here, you can see the direction of how the hair is changing. So you will see that I'm going to always go in the direction that the hair is growing first. Now the closeness of your shave will come in 3 levels and in 3 stages. Of course, each shave has something to do with the directional change of the hair and the directional change of the shave. The first pass, I like to call it, is always going to be with the grain. The second pass is going to be diagonal with the grain. And the third pass is going to be directly against the grain. Of course, the first pass is the gentle shave, and also the shave that's not as close. The cutting against the grain is the most aggressive shave, but it's also the closest shave. Cutting diagonal with the grain is going to give you the sweet spot between in the middle, where it's still close, but not as close as an aggressive against the grain shave. Now, from my experience, not everyone can take a shave against the grain. Actually, most people cannot take a shave against the grain because it's very aggressive. So depending on your guests and their skin type, you may not be able to reach all three levels and all three stages of shaving. And with that, we're going to get you a pro tip for you guys to take home where we can still get the close shave and still minus out on the irritation. And stay tuned to the end of the course for me to show you that. But for now, we're just working on our first pass. After every pass, we will re-lather and re-hot towel. That is also, guys, how you're going to dictate the length and the time of your shave. Some shaves are a lot quicker. Some shaves take more time as there's more hair, there's more density and more sensitivity. So from besides his mustache, we already have our first pass. And now we're going to shave the mustache. Turn this way, D. Cover your lip, please. Perfect. Now the lip is one of the most sensitive areas to shave. And it's my very technique. I developed my whole technique around shaving the most sensitive areas. That is why I always use the toe and the heel. That is why I always start where there's no hair. Just start slow at the bottom and work my way up and cutting a little bit more every time. Don't force the hair, let the blade do the work. If the beard is very thick, your blade may be dull by now, depending on the type of blades that you use. So if you find yourself powering through the shave and the blade's not doing the work, just simply change your razor. And I like to use what I call the piggy nose stretch. This is going to help tighten that space right under the nose where it's very fine and very sensitive. Stretch again, tight. The tighter the skin is here, the less irritation that you will have. So if your guest is falling asleep, don't be afraid to wake them up to help get that stretch, but don't be afraid to ask for help, because that's what's going to limit the irritation so you guys can get a clean shave. And of course, we don't want to avoid any cuts and nicks on the shave. Alright, so we have our first pass. Based on my experience with D, and based on looking at his skin type, we will not be able to go fully against the grain, but I can at least do diagonal with the grain. So I'm going to reapply shaving cream one more time, give him another hot towel, go diagonal with the grain, and we would stop there. But to give the full effect of a clean shave going against the grain, I will show you at the end my secret on how to achieve that without the irritation. Now, of course, the first shave is going to be the most hair as we go through the different levels and going diagonal and against. Every time we do the second pass, there's going to be, of course, less hair. And it's going to be a little bit easier to shave. And I want you guys to keep in mind of reading the skin. If the skin is going red, if the skin is looking like it's getting irritated, we always keep the integrity of the skin and the hair first. And that's when we're going to stop the shave if you feel that you're causing more irritation. All right, here comes another hot towel. Chin up, please, D. Chin up, yep, yeah, perfect. It's important to use the hot towels because it's what's going to keep the skin soft. As you can see, I laid my second hot towel right over the one that we had initially. This keeps an uninterrupted experience of him having his eyes closed. We don't want to take off the towel and wake him up from the bright lights. So we kind of keep that on top. That way we can keep him sleeping and relaxed as we finish off his shave. Again, just around a minute is what we need. In that time, I'm just going to get my razor blade ready for shaving diagonal with the grain. And that's going to be our final pass based on his skin type. So before I lay that towel up, I'm just going to remove the one on the bottom. As you can see, if I have the one on top, it's just going to replace. And we keep his eyes covered. Then we're going to repeat that step where we're going to fold up the hot towel, keeping his eyes covered, and that would expose the rest for his diagonal shave. So as you can see, I was going downwards and going with it. Now I'm able to go across. Now if you don't follow these steps and you go right to the last phase or right to the diagonal, it could be too aggressive. Doing it in stages is what's going to maintain the skin, the integrity of the skin without irritating it. For those who shaven the wrong way before, you know what your skin feels like when it's aggressive, when it's aggressively shaven. And that takes away the experience. That takes away the quality of the shave. The more effortless it feels, the less pain they feel, the more magical the experience is, and the more that your service is worth. As we mentioned, we're just adding a shave service. You can increase the ticket sale to plus like $50. You can add $50 to your ticket sale by just, adding a hot towel shave. That's going to keep his skin real smooth. And if you do it properly, over time, it's going to give him more clear skin as you're exfoliating the skin. If you're irritating it and not using the right techniques, you're actually making the skin worse. Instead of exfoliating and giving him clear skin, you're going to give him a whole face full of breakouts, and we don't want that. So we're going to turn him over to this way. I'm going to go diagonal. Alright, as you can see, I finished my first two passes. From my experience, that is all about the skin is going to allow me to do before the irritation. So now before I go into my final step on my secret tip on how to get a close shave without irritation, we're going to now unfold the last hot towel that we give them, and we're going to use it to clean off his face. My final technique and my final tip is going to show you guys how to clear all that stuff out without going over it with the blade again. This is how I like to keep the face cool and dry. Of course, the hot towel will keep the skin very moist. For our next step, we want to make sure that the skin is dry. So by fanning it out, it's going to help you dry off that skin a little bit more and make it easier for something to glide against it. So after my first two passes, or sometimes it might even be the first pass, and we're ready and the skin took as much as it can take, now I'm going to, after wiping off his face for all that excess shaving cream, I'm going to use some talc powder to dry off his skin and to keep it smooth and dry. I'm going to make sure that I coat that area and feel that the skin is no longer grabbing from my hand due to moisture. And already, this is already a very smooth shave. I only feel minimal stubble. That's because I didn't go against the grain. But now we're going to take it up a notch. The tip that I'm going to show you guys to finish off the shave is to use our UV foil shaver. The UV foil shaver is going to allow us to go against the grain to take off the remainder of the stubble without that irritation from that straight blade. Using the talc powder to dry the skin is going to make it a lot easier for this to glide. And this will take off the rest of the stubble. So now you get the best of both worlds, where they got the great experience and the great feeling of that shave. He's got their skin exfoliated, and now we can finish off by taking away the rest of the stubble without them feeling a thing. So the areas that I've missed around the cheek that I told you about, my foil shaver will take off the rest. And now I'm just going to do a feel test. And everywhere where I feel that it's rough by going against, that's where I'm going to go over with my UV foil. when D wakes up from his nap, it's gonna feel like baby skin. All right, now he has perfectly smooth skin. So we used a hot towel to open up his pores. Now we're going to use a cold towel to finish off the surface and to close off his pores. And if there's any minor bits of redness or even little nicks, this is going to help stop the bleeding and stop the redness and help cool down the skin a little bit. We're just going to follow this off with a skin moisturizer and he's going to be good to go. The skin moisturizer is really important because if you guys have ever washed your face before or shaven your face before and went into the cold, you'll notice that around your mouth and your nose, it feels like it's cracking. We want to avoid them getting that feeling. So having moisturizer on the skin after the shave, it's going to be that nice protective layer of moisture that they'll need after you've exfoliated away the dead skin. Okay, D, you can sit up, please. Hey guys, this is the end of our hot towel shave tutorial. I hope these techniques will help you guys elevate your game and bring that better experience for your clients that are coming into your chair to see you. Look forward to elevating their experience, and as I mentioned before, this could raise your ticket sales by at least $50. So take this behind the chair and let us know how you find these. Thank you.